but don't wasting time and start directly with a very nice roundtable to talk about what's new in NLP with Jean-Louis Queguiner, CEO of Gladia. Jean-Louis. Laura Nguyen from reciTAL. She's a research scientist. Patrick Van Platen from Hugging Face. He's a research engineer. And Abdelwahab from SpeechBrain. And he's a senior speech scientist. Please sit and perfect. I propose to start that you just present you and your startup and what you do.
Hi. Well, first of all, thank you, Fanny, for having me here. I'm Laura Nguyen. I'm a second-year PhD student at Sorbonne University and a research scientist at reciTAL. My work revolves around using deep learning to improve document understanding, which covers problems such as information extraction, layout analysis, or document classification, just to say a few. Basically, I focus on two main research questions. The first one is how do we take into account the multimodal nature of documents? How do we go beyond processing just text? And the second one is how do we process longer documents in order to capture their global structure? And so in order to tackle these challenges properly, we actually need to have a multidisciplinary point of view that covers not only NLP, but also computer vision. And this research, my research, is actually tightly in line with what my company reciTAL is doing. We're an AI software editor that offers intelligent document processing solutions. Basically, our solutions allow our clients, which are mostly banks and insurance companies, to automate extraction, classification, and search processes for all kinds of documents. So basically, we have technologies that are based on state-of-the-art models at the crossroads of NLP and computer vision. And we use that to enable our solutions to better capture the document structure and improve document analysis. Thank you.
Thank you. Patrick?
Sure, yeah. Hey, everybody. My name is Patrick. I'm a research engineer at Hugging Face. So Hugging Face is maybe most well known for the Transformers library. And I'm one of the core maintainers of the Transformers library. So what we do at Hugging Face is we try to enable the open source community with state-of-the-art machine learning algorithms and models. So I think we started more or less 2 years ago, actually here in Station F, with mostly NLP models, so BERT and GPT-2. And we recently transitioned also to speech recognition and vision models. And our company grew significantly as well. So we are over 100 people now. And besides providing the open source community with libraries and tools, we also have teams for optimization and consultancy.
Yeah, maybe. Thank you, Fanny, for the invitation. So my name is Abdelwahab. I'm a speech scientist. I do PhD in signals processing and speech recognition. And today, I want to talk about SpeechBrain. I'm one of the core developers of SpeechBrain. So it's not a startup. It's a project we built in a research lab in Mila at Montreal. And the purpose of this project is to provide the latest research in speech and understanding to the community into an open source toolkit. So SpeechBrain is a conversational AI toolkit, and we provide, for example, speech recognition, emotion recognition, source separation, and all the tasks, the basic tasks for the speech. And also, we have the idea to go from the speech to understanding. So we try to add some component to do the NLU part and try to think about how we can combine this transition directly from speech to understanding. So that's in general what we are doing at the SpeechBrain project. We have around 20 researchers around the world, from the Mila to here in France with the University of Avignon, with researchers around in Europe and in India. So yeah, we have a less community than Hugging Face, but yeah, we have a good community, and we developed this toolkit since 2 years. So it's the beginning.
And last but not least, Jean-Louis, with a new project, actually.
Yes. Thanks, Fanny, for having me here. Yes, I started Gladia a few weeks ago. The purpose of Gladia is to make AI accessible for developers. For now, AI is a bit of a complicated space for developers. It's targeting mainly data scientists and people that are already in the space and know what they are looking for. The goal of Gladia is to democratize that to all the developers. It's a bit of the Twilio of AI. So it's going to connect all the APIs all the tasks you could do with AI in a single place with a single API. That's the mission we have for now. And I'm using all the toolkits mentioned before, like Hugging Face, SpeechBrain, and many other libraries all in one place.
Thank you. Patrick and the others, it's the same question for all of you, but how do you work with NLP in your company, and what is the current state of the art of the NLP?
Sure. Yeah, I can start. So I guess at our company, we have the open source team, which really works with kind of porting state-of-the-art NLP models from all the big tech giants to the open source libraries, which is mainly transformers. And also, I guess we port data sets as well to our datasets library. And then we also have a team which works a lot with optimization. So how can you make these models actually applicable for production use cases? And the current state of the art, yeah, I guess, like in my opinion, the big change came with models like BERT in GPT-2, where you could actually kind of use pre-trained NLP models and directly leverage them for downstream tasks with a very little amount of money and time that had to be spent on fine-tuning. This was 2 years ago, and I guess the trend ever since has been that models they've been growing in size. And also, in my opinion, I feel like that's the strongest kind of like correlation yet between performance and well, like the model size and performance is like the strongest correlation. There have been like new like architectures and new algorithms, but in my opinion, the single most effective thing has been just to grow models in size. So we started with like 2 years ago with like 200 million parameters, and now we're up to almost like 1,000 billion. So even 1 trillion parameters for some of the biggest language models, and they've shown very impressive performance. The big question is now whether and how you could use them in production, if ever, or if they're not just too big, and how you can distill those models, and how can you extract like the most important knowledge from them.
Jean-Louis?
Oh yeah. So my opinion, the NLP is a very fragmented space. You have a lot of tasks, like entity recognition that was mentioned, but the intention detection, like you have many tasks. And I think one of the key points that NLP should solve in the future is to combine all those tasks. And the second one is the application of NLP in other spaces, like the injection of the NLP understanding into the speech. For no speech, or it behaves like it takes some part of sounds and try to combine them and try to guess what was the word that was pronounced, kind of, without a good understanding of the context. And I think bringing NLP into this speech space, just correct me if I'm saying things, would be a great, like if I say I just said 10 words, I would like the speech not to say 10 words, but 10 words, and for that I need to understand the beginning of the sentence, which no speech systems are not that smart enough to get it, and I think NLP could help a lot in solving those accuracy issues.
Abdel?
Yeah, maybe I can share a few my point of view about the NLP in the way in the industrial purpose, because we're a researcher with SpeechBrain toolkit. We are all the researchers trying to push the latest research. So one of the things our sponsors ask is, okay, we want to build a voice bot or call bot, and you have these all components, right? Speech, emotional, NLU, and as Jean-Louis said, how we can combine those components. Speech recognition have an error rate, right? Combining this propagating this error through the BERT one, so it will propagate the error and cause high bad accuracy, if I can say. So the idea is how we can deal with those different components, which is optimized on a local problem of the problem maybe we want to target, and how we can improve the solution. So one of the things when we ask this problem is to say, okay, how we can, if we can think about the end-to-end pipeline, like we have the wave to vec, the self-supervised techniques, and we have the BERT, and how we can directly go from the embedding to the embedding of BERT without going to the transcript. This is one of the question we are handling in in data science teams, how we can concat all those pipelines. Another problem I saw in the industry is, okay, we can go to Hugging Face, take the latest, the best model in the state of the art, 1% of weather rate, right? And then apply it to my data. And we saw, we have a huge gap. We need to adapt it. And here we start having trend of what we can call fine-tuning the model with our own data or with industrial data. So we can do these kind of techniques, but we need to be aware about one problem. It can happen really, and we saw it in industry, is about catastrophic forgetting, right? The model is pretty good for some kind of use case, but if you try to adapt or overfit on your data, so you may have a problem of the catastrophic forgetting. So you overfit your model, and then this model can not be used in the general purpose or in other tasks. So this is losing time in the data science team. So this problem is very challenging, because it's important to think about how we can manage all those technologies, all those components, and how we can find a solution. Because if you start fine-tuning for the first client, the second, the fourth, and the 100th one, so you will have 1,000 of models, right? So the idea is the NLP should think more about the generalization, about how we can train or keep the information even if you use unbalanced data. Or this is one of the thing I want to share with you today. Yeah.
And Laura, maybe you can explain what you do actually and how you want to find new solution with the layers. You explain to me.
Well, I would start by saying that one of the main limitations with mainstream NLP is that the documents, they're viewed as plain text, namely one-dimensional sequences of words. But the problem is that documents are never purely sequential. They always have visual and layout aspects that are actually essential in human reading comprehension. We have the layout that structures, that physically organizes the document and can bring important information about the semantics. And we have visual elements like graphs, tables, or text formatting that help convey information in a way that is more intuitive, more fitted to humans. And so this means that the NLP approaches that disregard these aspects, they actually lose quite a considerable amount of information. And so this is why in the past 2 or 3 years, we have seen a trend in models that integrate layout and visual information into transformer language models for document understanding task. And the overall idea is to jointly pre-train the text with visual and layout information in order to learn cross-modal interactions in a single framework, which is in most cases a bird-style encoder. And these models, they actually outperform the text-only models by a huge margin. And yeah, this is I think this is the current trend in my field in document understanding.
Thank you. What can we expect in the next few years? What do you dream about NLP? Jean-Louis, I think you are a specialist to write prediction about IA.
Okay, what I dream. Okay, let's start with this panel. We have only one woman. That's one of my dreams. I think at least 50% women in the AI field to have a better gender equality.
I think we have few women today in this day, but we
it's
do best.
Already underrepresented. Unfortunately, it's mainly a male, Caucasian male, 30 to 40 years old, and it's not an appropriate, a balanced representation of the world. And the main issue that we have is like when internet came in, and search engine, people with internet and mainly Caucasian male were talking on internet, and the representation of the world is mainly Caucasian male, white Caucasian male, 30 to 40 years old. And with AI, we are increasing that because we are training the data on internet data mostly. So we are again increasing the bias and automating the bias that is already sitting on the internet. And one of my dreams is to try to rebalance that. It's going to be super hard in terms of gender instead of population representation. A good example is that the models are mainly English-based, then Chinese-based, then French-based, and Spanish and German. And after that, a bit of Italian, but mainly like you've done mainly the most of the models. And if you look at other languages, like if you take Russian and you want to translate from Russian to Russian, I'm a student, and I'm a student, is a student, and she's a student, is going to end up, he's a student as a translation, is only going to be male-oriented. So there are many biases, like he's a doctor, she's a nurse, and while you have non-male-female representation in the original language. So there are many biases like that, and mainly because most of the models are going through English. They are doing original or source language to English, then English to the target language, because it's very difficult in terms of cardinality to address all the language directly. So we are going through English, which has its own representation of the world. You say a table, is it masculine or feminine? In French, we have the difference. You don't have it in English. So each language has its own bias, its own representation of the world, and the fact that we mostly go through English is removing a lot of representation of the balance of gender. And I think this is one of the key elements that needs to be addressed. I know there are other technical ones. I know there are industrial ones, but those ones are, in my opinion, the one that needs to be fixed. And I'm saying fixed, like it's not working right now. We need to fix that because in the future will be dirty if we don't fix that.
Okay. Any comments or any what do you want you for technically or in the way of Jean-Louis? Patrick?
Yeah, sure. Maybe I can jump in there. Actually, I fully agree with that. So that's it's a huge problem, right? Because a machine learning model can only be as good as the data you train it on, and we crawl the web. We don't care like what the data is, and we train the models on that. It's petabytes of data, and so it's very important that we actually find measures of how we can prevent bias in data. So that's super important. Maybe actually we have a big working group on exactly that topics right now at Hugging Face. It's called Big Science, and I think it's actually yesterday we released like the first, or maybe we'll release it officially in a couple of days. But I think we've like made the first big data set which is not common crawled, which has like almost a terabyte, and is supposed to be very non-biased in the best sense possible. The big problem here is always is very difficult, right? Like you can't check every sentence if you train a model on like literally a billion of sentences. So we have to be like very, very smart about that, what kind of filters we apply and how we pre-process the data. Yeah, but I fully agree. And the thing is also like things get a bit worse in the sense that we now use models to generate data as well. So for example, you want to like train a model on you know, a language for, let's say, a text classification. You don't have the language, you don't have the data, but you have the data in English. But you have a good translation model, so you translate the data from English to the language, and then you train the model on that kind of automatically generated data. And so there you can see that the bias, like, you know, it flows in the data again. So I think it's a super important topic, and it's a lot of people also working on this right now, I think.
Laura, maybe you have advice for women who want to try to go on the IA and maybe talk about your story.
Yeah, I fully agree with what you both said. But I want to add that maybe it's not only a matter of data. Like, in order to have non-biased, non-racist, non-sexist models, we also need to have to include in the teams that develop these models, we need to include more diversity, more women, more people of color. Because those are the people that are going to think about what the model shouldn't do, like how do we evaluate it in cases that would be problematic. Like, for an example, like a Muslim person would test their models on, like, if the model is not going to generate anti-Muslim sentiments on their text generation models. Yeah, so this is my input on that.
And the position of the web. Sorry. and when you work in office, it's you are. I think just one or two women in the team. How it works when you are in school, and do you have advice for girls who want to work in IA? Because I think you can explain like a role model how you have the feeling to work with men actually.
Well, I would say that during my studies, it was a bit intimidating to be in a field surrounded by men. Sometimes I kind of felt alone. But I think the most important is to like forget about these stereotypes about computer science, AI, and just go towards what you want to achieve. I would say that this is my main advice. But yeah, I really wish in the future more women would go for computer science or AI. It would be really benefiting for all of us.
Jean-Louis, and after Abdel.
Just to add some additions, it's not only hiring university. I think it's funding. Like, women needs to fund companies. So now it's super difficult. Starting a company is difficult, okay? But also when I'm trying to get finance, when I started, I interviewed lot of funders. and only one woman. And I tried to find other women's funding companies, and I didn't find some. I think the problem starts here. And the second thing, she told me that finding financing when you're a woman is super difficult. So it's not only at school, it's not only for employers diversity. If the head is still a male, Caucasian, me, I think we need the VCs also to make some big efforts to push women to fund companies, and maybe some cloud providers or stuff like that and SaaS providers to give some facilities to help women to have a better chance to success. So I don't know, PayPal just reduce your fees when it's funding women, or yeah, it's unfair for men, but it's already unfair. So we need to find some advantages for them to help them fit the gap at the funding level, at the CEO level. I think it starts here. Sorry, Heba, but just wanted to say it's not only school.
It's interesting. Abdel?
Totally agree with you guys. It's very important to have this kind of diversity, and to be complementary of what you said. It's very important to have resources for everyone. If you want to have the ecosystem growing for multi-languages, for example, for African or the other languages, this is very important to have the accessibility to the researcher, the GPU resources, of course, because nowadays if you start seeing that the models get bigger and bigger, right? Billions of parameters, and one of the things is that we need to think how we can at some point. My dream is to see the growing of the compression of big models, right? How we can, for example, from a billion of parameters go to millions of parameters and have the same performance, or kind of techniques that help for opening the latest research in AI, or the latest techniques to all the world, and see this kind of trend in the open source. This something matters a lot in SpeechBrain, for example, adding some techniques for knowledge distillation, or kind of solution that allow this. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. A last question, just in one sentence for each of you. What advice you can give to a startup who want to just start on NLP, and what is the best way to discover this?
Just go for it. There are plenty of use cases around, so just go for it and talk to people as much as you can. Everyone has problems to solve, so start, dig, and you will find gold. So that's it.
Yeah, maybe reuse the existing models. We have Hugging Face here, yeah, guys. So yeah, just think about reusing the best model you have, and then think how we can add your piece of contribution to your business. So that's one of the things I think you can go fast and grow very fastly.
Yeah, I think my advice would be really to focus on the use case itself, and a bit less about the technology in the beginning, and then start simple. So start with the linear classifiers, and then work your way up to the more difficult models. But it doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to always throw the most expensive and biggest models on your task in the beginning. So I think it's very, very important also nowadays to not just go for AI, but really go for your use case and try to solve it as best as you can, and view AI as just like one tool of many.
I don't have much experience on that part, so I can only talk about the research side of reciTAL, and I would say to invest in research. That's what we did in reciTAL, and that's what made me want to apply to this company.
Thank you very much, all of you.